At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Ezra Landis, a member of the graduating class of 2007. He was selected by a committee of students and faculty to deliver this year's student address. Ezra is the son of Stephen and Elizabeth Landis of Skokie, Illinois. He earned his Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in film and television production at New York University and has applied his interest in the arts during his Pepperdine Law School years. He served as the note and comment editor of the Pepperdine Law Review, which published his article on a novel intellectual property issue involving a songwriting credits dispute between the Beatles, Paul McCartney, and John Lennon. And during his second year, Pepperdine's Sports and Entertainment Law Society hosted a screening of Reeling in Reality, a film that Ezra both wrote and directed. He served 2 clerkships, one with the LA County Public Defender's Office and the other with the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Nevada. In his final semester, Ezra worked as Dean Starr's research assistant on the case of Morris versus Frederick, which was argued by Dean Starr before the U.S. Supreme Court on March 19. Ezra aspires to be a trial lawyer and hopes one day to return to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Please join me in welcoming student speaker Ezra Landis.
Distinguished guests, beloved faculty members, our esteemed dean, family, and my friends and fellow law school graduates. For many who are seated here today, the summer of 2004 was a frightening time, but for the rest of the country, it marked an especially joyful period. A nifty-looking device called an iPod was all the rage. America was in the throes of celebration, having just declared a decisive victory over Iraq. And a little movie called Dodgeball was raking in millions at the box office. Meanwhile, Pepperdine's School of Law had a new dean, which meant the former dean was now my professor for civil procedure. And though they say, never trust a man with a bow tie, he was a wonderful professor, though at times somewhat intimidating. And so I thought, what better way to end than to go back to the beginning, to that day when we all walked into our first civil procedure class. And while most people come to Pepperdine with God in their hearts, those who did not certainly found him that day. As everyone prayed to not be the first student called on to present a case. And as those who were in that class with me remember, God totally ignored Amanda Butler. And so Amanda stood for what seemed like an hour and answered questions on the case of Pennoyer v. Neff. I am not going to embarrass her today by asking her to stand up again, but the thought crossed my mind because I still have no clue what that case is about. All I know is that it's not the one about the shoes, the Volkswagen, or the Burger King. But even though I'm still spotty on the details of Pennoyer and the bar exam is approaching fast, I am very much at ease. This ease comes as a result of a technological advancement that is otherwise known as Wikipedia. Wikipedia allows anyone in the world to enter whatever information they want into an online encyclopedia. So instead of limiting your knowledge to the wisdom of judges, professors, and scholars, we now have the ability to expand our dialogue to include everyone. The Ninth Circuit has already stated, if it's not on Wikipedia, it's not good law. And the opinion that says that is published exclusively on Wikipedia. While surfing on that site recently, I found more than just valuable nuggets on law-related topics. I actually also came across a page that was devoted to my great-great-grandfather. My great-great-grandfather, Rabbi Tzvi Pesach Frank, served as the chief rabbi of Jerusalem for over 40 years and was the world's foremost authority on all aspects of Jewish law. The impact of his rulings, which were marked by his great sense of humanity, is still felt today throughout the world of Judaism. His accomplishments are obviously not my own, but his influence has instilled in me a high ethical and moral standard by which I try to live my life. Everything on his Wikipedia page appeared to be accurate, and I know everything is accurate because I've heard countless stories from his granddaughter, my grandmother Naomi, who is with us here today. And I wonder what a man like my great-great-grandfather, who passed away in the 1960s and who lived almost his entire life quite modestly in Jerusalem's Old City in an apartment overlooking the Western Wall, what he would think if he visited our majestic Malibu campus. I would, of course, upon entering the gates, try and convince him that this giant edifice was in fact the Washington Monument. But truthfully, I think he would have liked it here, and he would be very pleased to know that this is where I chose to spend the past 3 years of my life. My grandmother has often told me of the tens of visitors who would line the halls of his home on a daily basis, waiting for their opportunity to speak with the chief rabbi. He authored many important works and was always busy with his writings, but those were set aside when it came time to meet with the students who would fill his office, looking for answers to the questions that perplexed them most. Clearly, he would have fit in very well as a professor at Pepperdine. There was one time when a woman traveled an entire day from another town to see my great-great-grandfather so that she could have him examine an egg. The egg had a blemish, and when an egg has a certain type of blemish, there's a chance that it might not be kosher, in which case this woman's family would not have been able to eat the egg. People were so poor in that day that it was necessary to make the long journey cradling an egg just to make certain that nothing went to waste. The chief rabbi determined that the egg was not kosher, and so he gave the woman a rooster and he sent her on her way.